Hey, it's Jeremy with Lucky Hat Outdoors, and today I'm going to do a walkthrough, review, and talk about rigging on my 2015 Native Ultimate FX12. So basic specs, the Native Ultimate FX12 is 12 feet long. It's 30 inches wide and weighs 57 pounds, and it has a rated capacity of 350 pounds. Runs about $1,500 new. I got this as a closeout for under $1,000, and they're readily available on Craigslist most of the time in the $1,000 price range. Starting at the front of the boat, Native installed a nice big drain plug in the front. They have built-in hard handles, and you can see the foam here is dying, but they have their logo on the metal underneath, so they must have expected that. On both sides, the Ultimates ship with an installed anchor trolley, which that's a nice feature right there for a fishing yak. Has an open front bow with bungees, and these are about 2 years old, and you can tell that they're already losing a little bit of their tension. Native sells hatch covers that run almost $100 a piece. Maybe if I was in an extreme weather environment, I would consider investing, but I don't think it's worth it. This basically gets used to cram an ice chest when I'm fishing. Moving back, we have a piece of gear track installed in the front here, which is most likely installed for some type of fish finder. With the open hole, wiring a fish finder can be a little bit challenging. This doesn't personally get any use from me. They have one on each side. In fact, you can see, we'll go ahead and take that off. The foam's coming off. But they advertise these dimples as rod stagers, and it's kind of a convenient place to put your rod down for a few seconds. I wouldn't say it's a huge feature. What I do like is installed gear tracks left and right in the front, and you can see I actually have some camera mount material still installed. Native has huge foot pedals built into the yak, and they're really comfortable, but they're adjustable on the fly, and what I find is they're hard to get locked, and I have a tendency to push on them a little bit hard and kind of shove them back and forth, so that's a little bit of a complaint. The seat is a fairly big upgrade, and I'm not sure what year they did this, but I know the original Ultimates had this seat, but it was just sitting on the base, on the floor, in the low position. And a lot of people were spending a lot of time and energy and money building PVC risers to get the seat up. Well, Native decided to completely skip that and just go ahead and make it to where it can be pulled up into a high position, seated position. And they built it onto a platform that has a cup holder, a little bit of gear track, and is adjustable for front and back using these knobs here. Moving back, we have more gear track on the rear of the boat and more bungee for the rear tank well here. And again, you can see that my bungee's getting a little old and loose. And then we have a rear handle, and it's hard to see, but Native does sell a rudder kit. So the rear handle is offset from center, and there's divots here to where you would drill holes to install the rudder kit. And I'm hoping if I can scrape together enough money that we'll purchase one of those and demonstrate an install on this boat. And there we have it, a walkthrough of the 2015 Native Ultimate FX12. Here in a second, I'm going to show you how I rig it, and we'll talk about the pluses and minuses of this boat. So, we first came in contact with the Native Ultimates 2 years ago on a Grand Isle trip when Mark and the rest of the gang didn't have kayaks, and I was still fishing out of a Pelican. We went down there and we rented some of the older ones of these and spent the weekend fishing out of it, and fell in love with this boat. And it was in the running when it came time for me to buy my Hobie, and I actually had a deal on a Propel version of this boat that fell through. It just fell through. So the Native Ultimate has always kind of been on my wish list. So when I looked online and found a demo boat on a closeout for $1,000, I ran and grabbed it. And I had two thoughts in mind. The first is, this is a shallow boat, and it can go places that the Hobie can't. Even fluttering my drive, even pulling up my rudder, the Hobie just doesn't handle really shallow water the way this boat does. And Skunk Master likes to take me after redfish in places that, well, I'm surprised redfish can get to. So having a flat bottom boat that can get really shallow is a huge benefit. And the other thing I like is the hybrid design, which is basically, it's an open top, it's a closed top kayak that they cut open. But they refer to it as a hybrid design, and it has a huge amount of cargo space, front, back, rear, in the middle. So we had done a camping trip where we took our Hobies, and finding room for fishing gear and adventure gear was a little bit of a challenge, and that's not so with this boat because it's big and open. Now, one of my biggest complaints with Native, and I meant to discuss this when we were talking about Hobie, is the price of accessories. Anything that you do to this boat, if it has the Native name, it is extremely expensive. So my mods have been really limited. One big thing is, anytime it's a paddle yak, is some type of some type of paddle leash. I've never had it happen, but I can't imagine being out in the middle of somewhere and losing my paddle. Other big thing I did was, again, a camera mount, and that's more for the YouTube channel. No real mods to the seat. Speaking of the seat, this is the most comfortable seat on the market, always has been, and it's the simplest. It really is just an aluminum folding chair that pops in and out, and it rides on this new seat insert thing Native does. I love this seat for comfort, for stability, for usability. I hate the plastic thing that they mounted in it. The gear track in the front here, in my opinion, is worthless. I can't think of anything that I would slap on a gear track there. And I like putting things on gear tracks. The cup holder doesn't really fit a 12-ounce Coke can well. It doesn't fit a Nalgene bottle. It's kind of like that skinny cup holder on the Hobie. It falls into the realm of what is supposed to go in here. But my biggest complaint is they used gear track and gear track knobs to make the seat adjustable, and quite honestly, it doesn't adjust well at all on the fly. And I realize I have a year-old boat, and it was a rental boat. It was something that drunks took to the river to haul their beer around in while they were tubing. But that doesn't change the fact that if I'm paying, and these run $1,500 new, if I'm paying $1,500, I want a seat that'll slide back and forth. So this base that they created, the only benefit is being able to raise to the high and low position. And even that isn't that much of a benefit because I can't do it on the water. You have to get out of the boat, pick it up, and drop it down. I can get it done, but it's not easy. Gear track here, and I installed Zuka tubes on ram balls. These were originally intended for my Hobie, and I didn't like them. They ended up here by default. I'm seriously considering measuring here and seeing if I can fit a row of flush mount rod holders here, because I feel like these sit, I just don't like the way the Zuka tubes work. In the back I have my crate, which is stupid simple. It's a crate with a cheap 3-rod holder bolted on, and when I'm live bait fishing, I throw my 5-gallon bucket in there with my aerator, and I'm good to go. So I needed a spot for my stakeout pole, and like I said, Native accessories are a little expensive, and so I just installed a Yak Attack bungee. Man, it works fine. I mean, Yak Attack stuff is inexpensive, and it works. I kind of like this boat. I really do. I prefer my Hobie, to be quite honest with you, but I like having the versatility of having a traditional kayak and being able to go in really shallow, really skinny water. I like having a more traditional kayak for if we wanted to go camping or if we wanted to take a longer paddle trip. I feel like this is far more versatile. My Hobie is just a fishing yak, and this is more, I can duck hunt out of it, I can go camping, I can paddle in skinny water, I can load the kit in it and paddle around the pond. And at the 57 pounds, it's half the weight of the Hobie. So to throw something in the bed of the truck and go to a municipal pond to try to bass fish for an afternoon, this makes more sense than the Hobie. For what it is, for being just a simple, for being basically a jazzed up Piro, this is worth the $1,500. It is a little bit on the high end, but you get your money's worth with a Native product.
Hey, it's Jeremy from Lucky Hat Outdoors, and if you like our videos and you have a good time, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram.